This is the Bull Session, a weekly recap of your 2025 Philadelphia Phillies. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Team Toyota, BCWSA, Fogo de Show, Penn Community Bank, Chickies and Pete's, and the Capitol Grill Center City. Now, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Tommy Greene.
BCWSA, we are live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. I'm John Brazer, Director of Fun and Games with Fightin' Phils, and I'm joined today by two of my all-time favorite people, and I'm not just saying that, they really are. Tommy Greene, who's my semi-regular co-host, along with Mickey Morandini, but Tommy is here today. What's up, Tommy?
How you doing, pal? And it still cracks me up every time. Even the shows we do, different things we do. I can't get over the name, the title. Well, the title. How do you get that?
The guy that should have the title, the true title of Director of Fun and Games, is the guy, our guest today, one of the most entertaining people in baseball or just in life.
On the planet.
On the planet. Larry Andersen. What's up, L.A.?
How you doing, bro? L.A.
How you doing? You should take that title. Like, I'll be leaving the Phillies at some point. And you can
Not before me.
You don't think so? I don't know.
I might be leaving more than the Phillies.
You probably won't hear me talking today. I'll be laughing the whole time, you know. So,
I almost beat you 10 years ago, L.A. All right, so.
Like I said, some of the best times of my life was with him. And the funniest, there was never a dull moment. With this man, it's unbelievable.
There's never a dull moment. From everything from when he takes his shoes off and he puts his knees in his shoes, and then he takes a picture, and it's little L.A.
Yeah,
right. I've got a lot of pictures of little L.A.
A lot of them.
Right,
yeah.
And I like when he takes his shoes and switches. And you have to do this with the shoes that you can actually not lace up, so you can get in and out easily. And he puts his left foot in his right shoe, and his right foot in his left shoe, and then. You can't not walk a straight line when you have that because your feet are going out like that.
Especially after a few social sparklers.
Those sparklers,
man.
Those sparklers make it.
But yes, and we want to go through some of the things that have given you that reputation as one of the most fun people in baseball. And you were ranked, I think there was a poll like ESPN or something. They ranked you as one of the top 25 entertaining people to ever put on a Major League Baseball uniform.
I think it started. I was at 7th, and I think now I'm like 24th. So.
Can you go back down? Can you get down again?
I'm going to work on it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, L.A. How about? I know you obviously as an announcer for the Phillies, you get to see them all the time. But how about this team right now? They have won 5 series in a row. They didn't do that all.
They have?
Yeah, they haven't done that all last year.
Wow.
Last year they didn't do that one time. Did you know that?
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah, I'm the broadcaster.
Of course you did.
I'm supposed to know that.
Yeah, come on.
Come on, L.A. How you doing, pal?
But how about those fights? I mean, literally, right now, this is a great time to do the show. Sometimes Tommy and I do these shows, and they're coming off a 1-5 week, or they're coming off a really bad loss, and then we have to.
I got to deal with Brazer when that happens. You know,
because I am a fountain, not a drain. Of course, you know that, Larry.
Yes.
His golf game, how's pickleball doing, or whatever he plays.
Paddle, whatever. So, but right now, the team is hot. National TV last night. Two guys especially stood out. Zach Wheeler. What did you see in Zach Wheeler last night? What have you seen him all season? And I know it's obviously going to be all positive.
I think the same thing I've seen probably the last 5 years.
Right.
And not just with us. I mean, he was already a good pitcher. I think he just fine-tuned some things when he came to the Phillies. And 2 of the last 3 years, I believe, he's been second in the Cy Young. I think he should have won both times just based on the amount of games, the innings he pitched. You know, I just don't see how you're going to – a Cy Young winner is going to be a 5-inning pitcher.
No, I can't either.
But 2 of them have been. I mean, Corbin Burns, had 150 innings a few years ago when he beat out Zach, and then last year Chris Sale, same thing. Not to take anything away from how good these guys are, but what about if you average 6 innings a start? You know, that's 180 innings.
Right.
Neither of them got there.
Right.
I agree with you on that. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't have been no question. It shocked me a little bit that who all does the voting for that, as far as for Cy Young.
It's writers, right? Isn't it
Is
writers?
it still writers?
Or maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's the writers.
I think
there's a lot of brain dead ones.
There's some missing stuff going on. I know that up there.
Well, there's the writers. One writer left Ichiro off the first ballot Hall of Fame, which is how do you do
absurd?
that? He's literally if he played all of his career in the United States, he'd be the greatest.
Yeah.
He would have passed Pete Rose.
Oh yeah,
right. But Wheeler right now is 4-1. He's got a 2.95 ERA. He's got a 0.91 WHIP. He struck out 74, walked 11 in 58 innings. That's pretty good.
Phenomenal.
Right?
It is. It's
and
phenomenal.
he goes at least 7 every game.
How'd you do when it transitioned to all these other metrics, you whip and all that stuff rather than listen? Remember back when we played, it was all about words, hitting the ball hard. That guy laced that one. I got smoked.
You got
You
whipped.
know I'm deaf in my right ear, right?
Yeah.
And so when people are on this side of me talking, and I have no idea what they're saying, I try and read lips a little bit, and when I just go, yeah. Well, that's kind of the same way with that. It's like the analytics. I just go,
hey, that's perfect.
It's Charlie Brown's teacher.
What's your what's your OBAX? Like
what is that? What does that mean?
What was your OBAX in your lifetime?
Yep.
Yep. LA, how about this? All right, this is an easy stat to the whole rotation. Now think about it right now, especially with Suarez back. We were a little worried when he pitched the first game, got through 2 great innings, and then he fell apart. And a great sign. The great sign the other day is when he just dominated. And then you add that to everybody else, right? The guy going tonight, Sanchez, and I know Noel has had some blips, but I think he's going to get out of it. But the rotation right now has a 26.9% whiff rate, so you can understand that one. It's not Charlie Brown teacher, right?
I know a lot about whiffs.
So
I've batted before.
Over 1 out of 4 batters are striking out against the Phillies starting rotation. It is best in Major League Baseball by almost a full 2%, and it would be the 8th highest whiff rate since at least 1990. And obviously before that, they just didn't strike out people at that rate. So it's probably 8th highest ever.
I said in spring training. Not that anybody listened, but I said in spring training, and people looked at me like I was nuts, but I said, we've got a rotation, a big league rotation, the whole rotation, that each one is capable of winning the Cy Young this year.
Right.
And people looked at me like I was an idiot. I'm not saying that they all should be Cy Young winners, but out of the 5 starters we have, I mean, look at Luzardo. Look at Wheeler. Wheeler's already, number 2 in the last 2 or 3 years. Luzardo's been phenomenal this year.
Let's stop on Luzardo. So Luzardo's sweeper, how about this one? This is an unbelievable stat. His sweeper, he has a 47.3% whiff rate on the sweeper. So almost half are whiffing on it. Half the pitches are.
That was sort of like your slider, wasn't it?
I tell you what, if I had those numbers, I'd have thrown all sliders instead of 90% sliders.
Hey, true fact. I don't think I saw him throw one pitch to time it up. There's 2 years I played with him, other than a slider. I saw one pitch.
Well, wait.
And he can tell you when it was.
Yeah, tell that story because that's a great story. It was involved Darren Dalton.
Yeah.
Right? Well, first of all, before you get to that, opponents to finish off on Luzardo, opponents are hitting 179 against the sweeper. So that's
wow.
That's pretty good.
Is that something he just added?
Yeah, he just started doing that. Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's pretty impressive to pick it up like that's.
Very. I don't think it's hard though. I think for the sweeper to go from we used to call it a slurve,
right?
Yeah.
To go from a slider to a sweeper, you can choke the ball a little more.
Yeah.
Cut it a little more. Come around the ball more to get the bigger break.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, that was the thing that changed me when I was able. When I got from Atlanta, I basically told them what I was going to throw. Because they wanted me to throw the curveball, and I didn't have that good a command of that pitch. It was just something I had to get the feel of over the course of the game. But when Leo taught me the slider, and I finally said, well, I was going to do it because I read the writing on the wall, and it changed my career. The slider. Yeah. You're talking about sweeper, slider. They said you can't throw both, as far as a curveball and a slider back in the day. Right. They said it makes both of them mediocre or whatever. To me, it was the opposite. I think I'd distinguished between the 2 turns what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And it helped me. I know that. It helped me for that sake. So it's very impressive to see him pick it up like he has and have that much success. with it right off the bat.
No
All right,
question.
Larry, tell us
We got to
about
have that story.
As you mentioned, you threw 99% slider, right?
90%. Yeah.
90%. All right, tell.
I want to know what the other pitches were.
Those were waste pitches.
I love the story where I think it was Darren Dalton, if I know the story correctly.
Oh, it was Darren.
He called a pitch that you've never thrown in a game, right? Or
I
rarely threw in a game?
I threw it once and it ended up in a bench clearing brawl.
right.
Well, I mean, that pitch didn't. I threw it to Spike Owens when I was with Houston during the regular season, and he had Joe West check the ball.
Right.
Now, this is the third game of a series, and they beat us like 30-3 has been the score for the three games, and I was coming off the disabled list, so it was already a blowout. I think we were losing by like 8 or 9 runs, and so I threw a split, and Spike had him check the ball. I'm like, and I didn't have a split, but but it was a game it didn't matter, so let me work on it. So I threw it, and he questions it, and I was like, Spike was a teammate of mine in Seattle.
Right.
So I knew him well. We were good friends, and I threw that. And when he had him check the ball after they'd been blowing us out the first 2 games and blowing us out that game, I was like, well, that's just not right. So I decided as Nolan would say, I decided to throw him a bow tie.
Right.
You deserve yourself a bow tie.
I threw one up here. It was higher than I wanted because it was right at his head, and it was well inside. And he hit the deck, and then he jumped up and charged the mound. So it ended up in a brawl. That was the only other time I threw it till the playoffs. I believe it was Game 5.
It was Game 5 in Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah.
I won't never forget it. I won't because I was watching it, and I'm watching him pitch in his face when he got the sign.
Well, and it was a big moment too, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah,
4-3 game in the bottom of the 10th.
Right. I'd say that's a big moment.
It was game.
And Darren called the sinker or the splitter. And
you got to tee it up better than that because
Dutch.
Because he threw a couple of sliders before then.
All sliders.
Yeah.
Before that.
Basically,
that were hangers.
Basically, it's saying hit me, and Gant fouled him off. And he was like, Dutch went. You could see it. It was taking a little bit. Larry was waiting. Just he thought he was going to get the slider.
We didn't have the pitch timer then.
Yeah, he was waiting for the slider to come down, so he could go through what he needed to do. And Dutch, you could see Dutch. I was looking at it, and you could see Dutch, and he finally goes. I mean, you couldn't see it, but he waited in L.A., and then L.A. was like, he did a double take almost. He's like,
I was fine once I picked my jaw up off the ground.
It was so obvious to me sitting on the bench. I was over here watching.
But I tell you what else was obvious. If I threw another slider, the game was going to be tied because I struck out Blauser on 3 hanging sliders.
Yeah.
And I think just because they weren't down, they were up, he swung at them.
It was a legit day.
How he didn't hit him, I don't know.
The legit day, you just had your hand on the ball, right? It felt like that. That's it. But you threw that pitch. It was
2 to Gant that were hangers. And I know Dutch was thinking, man, if he throws another one of those, we're going extra. We're going to the 11th.
Right, and he had dinner plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he called the split.
We
called
had
the change
several
up.
sparklers waiting.
And once I got my composure back, I ended up throwing one that I wish I would have thrown my whole career if it did what that one did, because that's the only one that ever really moved good.
Well, I tell you what, it was seeing the replay, Braze, on TV, and from behind you could see Dutch wait and give the sign for a changeup or which is wiggling your fingers. And LA's used to seeing three. That's all he sees, right? So he gave him 4 like that, and you can see LA sort of. It was like, what? And he's like, he had that look, and he goes,
okay,
right.
Give it a shot.
He gave me that happy nod, and he threw probably the best one you want to ever see because this is the outside corner. It started there, and it come back right over the outside corner. Gant, he had no chance.
Did it surprise you?
Yeah. I was more surprised than Gant.
All right, coming up in the show,
my God, it was
Larry,
it was awesome.
We have a lot to talk about Larry Andersen. We'll talk about his career. We'll talk about some of the practical jokes he's done throughout the years. A very colorful career. You listen to the Bull Session, presented by BCWSA. We are live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a very berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at penncommunitybank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Tommy Greene.
All right, we are back to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA, live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. I'm John Brazer, joined by Tommy Greene, our guest, Larry Andersen. Now, Larry, I mentioned at the very top of the show that obviously you're known for your entertaining. I know we had deep thoughts at one point.
Shallow
right?
thoughts.
Shallow thoughts.
You want to call it that?
Well, deep, shallow
There's a
thoughts.
lot of shallows.
Right. What were your favorite shallow thoughts? I did like a couple of them. I like the,
It started with why does sour cream have an expiration date?
True. Right.
Then I went to why do you drive on a parkway and park on a driveway?
I like that one.
Why is chili served hot?
True. That's good. All very good points. These are deep or shallow thoughts.
If the whole world is a stage, where's the audience sit?
Right. And then take me out to the ball game.
Why do they sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" when they're already there?
Right. And that's Harry Carey who started that.
Harry
So
Carey,
you're ripping Harry Carey.
Yes,
And his grandson is coming in to do the games tonight, and you're going to see.
That's right.
You're going to see Chip Carey tonight.
No, I won't.
You're not doing the game.
No, I won't.
Am I going to see this homestand?
I'm off this series. No, I'll be here for the
Pittsburgh.
weekend for Pittsburgh.
Okay, so you'll see.
I hope I'm off this series. I think I am, but I haven't really checked, which I probably should
Yeah,
have.
you probably should do
Because as of last night, I thought today was a day off. I thought it was a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. With Monday off, it's actually a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with Thursday off.
Yeah, because usually you don't work days with end with Y, right?
Yes.
Like today? Before Memorial Day. Today, right. Today and tomorrow? Well, tomorrow doesn't
Tomorrow-y.
All right, L.A. One of you're from the Portland area. We want to get into your whole
I want to
get
hear
into your whole
that.
career. But before we get in the career, we got to talk about you were playing for the Mariners, and Renee Latchman was your manager. And you were not exactly like a veteran at that point, right?
Not really.
Not really. You were kind of getting there, right?
Yeah.
But tell me,
You were young wine.
Tell us about the practical joke that you did along with Richie Zisk, right, and Joe Simpson.
Yes.
What did you do to the poor Renee Latchman?
Well, we were in Chicago, and we were staying downtown, and Latch liked to go to Rush Street. He liked to go out and have a little social sparkler every now and then. We were in Chicago, so we knew he would be out late. So we got Lee Pellicudis who ended up being the Seattle general manager. At the time, he was the traveling secretary. We got Lee to give us a key to Latch's suite. So he gave us the key.
That's dangerous, man.
We went down to the store. We bought 16 boxes of cherry Jello.
Okay.
And we got back to the hotel. We used the key. We got into Latchman's suite. Of course, in the suite, he has 2 bathrooms. So 8 boxes of Jello went in one toilet. 8 boxes of Jell-O went in another toilet. Then we went down the hallway, got buckets of ice, buckets in each toilet, stirred it up, tried to get the toilets to gel a little bit. And then we took all the light fixtures out. We toilet papered the room. We took the mouthpiece out of his phone. We unplugged any device that was plugged in. And every piece of furniture we could get, we shoved into one of the bathrooms, including his mattress. So when he came home from Rush Street,
overserved, I'm sure,
he wanted to just drop down on the bed. And he went just plop on the bed and realized there's no mattress there. So it's probably 2 a.m. He's calling Richie Zisk's room.
Right. Because he knows he's the one that
thinks Richie Zisk was in on it. So he called Richie. Now, it doesn't have the mouthpiece in his phone, so Richie knows that it's Latch because he can't hear anything.
Right.
So Richie just on his own goes, I don't know who's calling me, but I got a day game tomorrow, and I don't appreciate this, and hung up. Then Latch figured out that he didn't have the mouthpiece.
Right.
Found it, called him again, and told him. He said, I know you had something to do with this. He's like, Latch, stop it. I'm trying to sleep. I'll talk to you in the morning. So we'd previously just traded Tom Paciorek to the White Sox. So Latch said, okay, Wimpy, his nickname was Wimpy. He said, Wimpy's got to be part of this. So we go to the ballpark the next morning, and they're out on the field, and Latch calls Paciorek over. And he says, hey, Wimpy, he says, what were you doing? And he goes, I know it was, and this is what Latch said. He says, I know it was one of you two Polacks. So it was either Richie Zisk or Tom Paciorek, according to Latch.
Right.
So Paciorek goes, and we'd pulled the plug out of his alarm, so Latch knew it was 11 o'clock when we did this. So he asked Paciorek about it, and he goes, Latch, I already heard about it. And he says, I can promise you it wasn't me. I had nothing to do with it. He says, what do you mean? How can you say that? And he goes, I'm telling you, from 11 to 11:02, I was making love to my wife. That kind of set the ball rolling.
Yeah, right. Were there any repercussions?
Well, did he ever find out?
He threatened. He did. He found out at the end of the year. This was probably in late June, early July. He found out at the end of the year at our team party. But what happened is he threatened us with the FBI, fingerprints, lie detectors, and we're like, yeah, whatever. Well, Lee Pelikutis is a traveling secretary. Every time we went to a new road trip, a new series on the road, he would have a big bowl of Jell-O sitting in Latch's room every time we got to the hotel room, to his suite.
All right.
So then we got Dave Niehaus in it. Dave Niehaus was the Harry Callis of the Mariners. So we got him in on it. We had him tell Latch, I got these guys on tape talking about Mr. Jell-O. I know who did it. And Latch says, give me that right now. Give me the tape. He says, I can't. I need it for the post game. So Niehaus is in on it. So after the game, Richie Zisk is star of the game, so we told Richie, hey, make sure Niehaus doesn't do anything. You know,
right.
He plays along with it. Because Latch had gone around and betting everybody, bet me $100 during batting practice that after the game, he would know who did it.
And he had no clue it was you. You were part of it.
No, I had no idea. So after the game,
he's the best, man.
Niehaus walks in the clubhouse, and as soon as Latch sees him, he's like, Niehaus, get over here, come here. And from across the locker room, Niehaus goes, Latch, you're not going to believe this. And as soon as he said that, Latch goes, those blankety blanks got to you, didn't they? So he knew that Dave Niehaus got in on it.
Right.
So I go up to Latch. I'm like, Latch, where's my 100? He goes, no, we're not doing that. We're not that. You guys messed that up. You screwed around. You cheated. Basically saying we conned him.
Right.
So after that we go to New York, and that's at that time you go to these stores in New York and you have newspaper headlines made up. So I went to the store and I bought about 20 newspaper headlines that all said Jell-O Gate tapes lost, Latch baffled. Pasted them in the clubhouse. He was he was livid, but he still didn't have any idea who did it. He thought it was Bill Cottle.
Right.
He wasn't sure if Al Cowens had something to do with it.
But you weren't even a suspect.
No.
Wow.
But then on the team party, we went and got 3 brown grocery bags and colored them like Jell-O. And I put one on, Simpson put one on, and Richie Zisk put one on. And we did kind of a what's my line thing with us standing up there. And Latch trying to figure out who it was. And he still didn't. And we finally just took the bags off.
Oh, my God. That is classic. All right. Follow that one with you were coaching.
Grimace?
Yeah, you were coaching in, I think it was Reading, right?
Yeah. Just talked about this last night. I was telling my niece and nephew about it.
You're one of the great – I love the story. So Grimace, which is Wayne Gomes,
It is.
One of my, and let me just tell, one of my favorite Wayne Gomes stories before you get into that. Wayne was a first-round draft pick for the Phils back in the 90s, and out of Old Dominion, right?
Yep, 93.
And oftentimes, as both of you guys know, you have to chart pitches after your start. Wayne Gomes, I guess, was a starter
before
at that
you
point.
Start.
Yeah, before you start.
Yeah.
So
minor leagues we did.
He was charting pitches at I think it's at Reading, and next thing you know, this lady comes down and says, can you sign my autograph? It was during the game. And I guess Wayne had been told by the coach, do not let anyone talk to you during the game. You have to chart the pitch. You have to make sure you get all the ball strikes. There can't be any errors. It's very important. You can't let anyone distract you. And this lady comes down and says, can you sign my ball? Sign my ball. And Wayne's like, please, ma'am, maybe in between innings. The lady did not like that answer, and she went up like 5 rows, and then she got so upset that she threw the ball at Wayne Gomes, hit him in the back of the head. So Wayne Gomes looked back to see who threw the ball at him.
Rubbish Ranger.
And it was the Rubbish Ranger and Deputy Debris, who were like basically a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout dressed up as Lone Ranger, with a mask. Yeah. And they're there to clean up the stadium. They just happened to be standing right when Wayne looked back, and Wayne thought it was the Rubbish Ranger and the Deputy Debris. We're talking about probably an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old. And Wayne attacked the Rubbish Ranger and the Deputy Debris, like literally went into the stands and attacked them while he's doing that. And next thing you know, Ed Wade gets a phone call and says, Ed, your number 1 draft pick just attacked the Rubbish Ranger in the stands, right?
Yes.
So this is who we're dealing with right here. So Wayne Gomes, go ahead. So tell the story about how this got set up.
Well, this one, there's another one. Wayne Gomes was a starter, and he had terrible control. This first inning that he started a game, he walked, I want to say 6 guys.
Holy cow.
And balked like 3 times. And there was somebody in the stands right next to the dugout who was there every game, had headsets on, and he just unloaded on Grimace as he's coming off the field after that first inning. He's hooting and hollering on him, and just not letting him up.
Giving him the business, huh?
And Grimace comes into the dugout and he goes, "Who's that? Who's that guy? What's going on? Who's that guy that's yelling? I hear him out there. He's getting all over me. I'm going to go beat his butt."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, it won't be much of a contest, Grimace. The guy's blind." He's a blind guy, but he would listen to the game.
Right.
Couldn't see it, but he would listen, and Grimace wanted to fight him. So anyway. What
was his face? What did his face look at when you said that?
I just laughed.
No. What did Grimace's
Grimace?
face?
He was like, "Oh."
But all right. So Wayne Gomes, now you're coaching.
Yeah, coaching, and when they chart the games, the pitcher for the next day would chart the games the night before. Mm-hmm. So I'd give them the chart, give them the pencil, and they would chart every pitch, and then I would get it back and I would calculate everything after the game. Well. When I started giving the charts out, and Grimace would going up and breaking the pencil. Whoever was charting, he would break the pencil. I'm like, so it was more of a headache for me because I'd have to go in the clubhouse, walk through the concourse, get in the clubhouse, get another pencil, bring it out.
And he's doing this just to be a pain in the butt.
Just to irritate me.
Okay.
So I told him, I said, Grimace, you keep this up. I said, I'm going to get you, and you're going to be sorry. And he goes, whatever.
Right.
Next day,
he didn't know who he was
there goes the pencil.
Right.
Well, it just so happened that ESPN had called me, and they were doing a show called the ESPN the Magazine. And they said, we'd love to get you on tape and get you doing a prank of some sort. And I said, well, I'm certainly the guy, and I got certain prospect, the victim to do it.
You got certain unique talents, pal.
Yeah, well, so I said, we're going to trade him to Japan. So ESPN sent out a crew. Actually, it wasn't even – and Bill Dancy was our manager. He had a meeting and said, we've got a group a company coming in. They're doing a documentary from Japan. They're doing a documentary on minor league baseball, and they wanted to feature Reading Phillies. So they come in. James Chang, he's not even Japanese. He's Korean.
Right.
But he's got the mic, and the mics – the cord to the mic is in his suit pocket,
so
but nobody knows.
Not really connected to anything.
And they got a guy with a boom mic and the camera and everything. So we're going around, and then as they're doing this, they said, please give them access. Dancy told all the players, give them access. They're allowed to do whatever they want. It's been cleared by the Phillies, by Major League Baseball, minor league baseball, and all that. So they're going around, and meanwhile, Dancy calls Gomes into his office. Myself and George Culver, who was our pitching coordinator, was also there.
George.
And he says, Wayne, I know it's going to be kind of tough, but the Phillies have traded you to Japan. He said, you're still our property, but you're going to go to Japan. This is on a Friday. He said, you got to be ready to go Sunday. But it's a 1-year thing. You're still our property. You'll be back in spring training with us, blah, blah, blah. And his mouth hit the ground. He was
right.
So they're following him around, and they're talking to him, and they're interviewing him, and then they get him. He's calling his mom. He says, Mom, I just got traded to Chusey McChusey's or something like that. He goes, it's Nomo's old team, Hideo Nomo.
Right.
So he goes, I got traded, and he goes, I got to get ready, but let me make some calls. I got to get going. So he tells him that, calls his wife, or his fiancée at the time, Melissa.
And none of the players know this, too,
No.
right?
No.
And Melissa doesn't know. Nobody knows.
Nobody. Just
Right.
the managers, the coaches.
Dancing coach.
Okay.
Now, Lee Thomas was in on it. Gomes' agent was in on
Right.
it. Our GM was in on it. I don't know, was Lee Thomas at the time.
Yeah,
was
it
in
had
on
to be Lee.
So it was all cleared. And so we do this, let this go on for about an hour during batting practice, after batting practice, and then Nancy says, we're going to have a meeting after batting practice. So I had an announcement for you. So Nancy gets up and says, hey, guys, I just want to let you know the Phillies have just traded Wayne Gomes to Japan just for this year. He'll be back next year, but it's, we just want to wish him luck, and I just wanted to let you guys know because he's got to leave Sunday, and it's Friday now, so there's not much time. So he's like, does anybody else have anything to say? And a couple guys said something, and then Dan says, Andy, do you want to say something? And I said, well, sure. And meanwhile, he's packing his bags. He's trying to give his speaks to.
Wasn't Larry Mitchell like crying or
Yeah,
something?
Larry Mitchell.
That was like his best friend.
Snack Bar was Grimace's best friend.
Snack Bar.
So
These names.
Nickname for everybody. So Gomes, he's trying to give him his red spikes. He goes, I'm not going to need these over there. And Mitchell's crying. He's like, I don't want your spikes. And he throws them back to him. And, I mean, this is just, it's going on. I mean, to the point where I was feeling bad.
Right.
Not that bad, but a little bad.
Little bad.
So Dan says, would you want to say something, Andy? So I said, well, yeah. I said, Grimace, it's been great. You've done a great job for us. And I said, I know it's a tough time because, we're going for the championship. We're leading the league and we'll be in the playoffs, and it's a tough time to lose you. But, again, you're coming back. You're not gone. You're still our property. And I just want you to know that, I told you I would get you.
Yeah.
And I just got you.
And the look of relief just
Yeah, I'd never seen a smile this big.
Right.
It was ear to ear. It was like, it just revived. And it was,
Well, then you also inspired them.
Was anybody taping that?
Oh, yeah.
The whole
video?
It on ESPN.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that.
It's on, it might be on YouTube. I pulled it up on YouTube yesterday.
Okay.
Well, then you
I'll look it up.
inspired the trade of Kyle Kendrick. Many years
That
later.
was completely stolen.
That was stolen, right?
Stolen.
Right. But I like
But
your.
you expect
I like
that
your
from Brett.
version
You
better.
expect that from Brett Myers.
Exactly right. All right, coming up in the show, we will discuss more.
You're the
We'll go
best,
through his
man.
career. We'll talk about the team. We'll talk about some other things that Larry Andersen gets up to.
You got to be careful there.
Yeah, you got to be careful there. That's you're listening to the Bull Session, presented by BCWSA. We are live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at penncommunitybank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Tommy Greene.
All right, we are back to the Bull Session presented by BC WSA. We're live Chickies and Pete's, South Philadelphia. I am John Brazer, joined by Tommy Greene and Larry Andersen. Now, Larry, a lot of people...
I want to know if your cheeks are hurting like mine of laughing. I'm sitting here laughing.
We still have 25 minutes. I know. All right, L.A. on a more serious note. Now, people might not know this, but obviously if you make the major leagues, you make any professional league, probably means you're probably good in one or maybe a couple other sports.
Pickleball.
And pickleball, right. You're a terrible pickleball player.
Hey, what's
I'm just kidding.
that?
I've never seen you play pickleball. And it's paddle, not pickleball. But you were a outstanding quarterback in high school, right?
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know that, Tommy?
No, I didn't.
And I think you were ticketed to Washington State? Or
Oregon.
Oregon.
Oh, my God.
Right? So talk about that. Did you think about maybe at one point in your life that maybe you'd go the football route instead of baseball?
I don't know. I think for me, I felt I was better at baseball, but coming out of high school, I signed a letter of intent to go to Oregon for football and baseball. And this is not the same Oregon we're seeing these days.
Right,
this was a much depleted University of Oregon team.
It's not the Phil Knight Oregon.
No.
With all the Nike money.
No. It wasn't a great program.
Still D1.
But it was Pac-10. And
right.
So I thought, and there was a chance they were struggling at the quarterback position. Their quarterback had left the year before, or senior year was gone. So there was a chance I could have started as a freshman. Again, it wasn't, we're not talking about like Alabama or Ohio State, but nevertheless.
And I'm assuming you were a pocket passer?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're not a dual threat?
Ran a few bootlegs.
Okay.
But it was only because I hit the ball pretty good. It had nothing to do with my wheels.
right.
But then when the draft came around, I got drafted.
Did you know you were going to be? You ended up drafted the 7th round.
Yeah. Out of high school. Yeah.
Did you know? And out of high school, did you know that you were going to be a high draft pick?
I didn't think that was high that time, but although they went to 42 rounds, I guess in retrospect, looking back, I guess it was somewhat of a high pick.
7th round's a good one.
But that was what really started the turn of events in my life where I made some really, really poor decisions.
Okay. Meaning, for example?
Well, I got a $10,000 signing bonus and college paid for. And with that $10,000, I was going to go one of two ways. I was going to buy a friend of mine's Mustang, 68 Mustang, which was beautiful. I mean, it was gorgeous. Had it fixed up, every bell and whistle, and I love that thing. Or I could have bought 10 acres in Aspen.
Right. One's short term, one's long term.
Yeah.
You chose the short term.
I went with the short term.
Short term,
yeah.
Right.
Because, I mean, the long term was, and it was affordable. The 10 acres in Aspen, it was $700 an acre. So I could have bought 10 acres in Aspen for $7,000.
Right.
But
and we'd have
I couldn't drive those acres around, so I went with the Mustang.
We could have had a ski lodge at LA's residence.
I might have owned Aspen by now.
Right.
But that didn't happen, and that started the poor decisions.
Okay. Well, then you came through and you
Oh,
you
my
made.
God, he's killing me.
And the tough part is like when you pitched in the minors, your numbers weren't great. So I'm not like in your mind were you thinking? And this is not disparaging because obviously you had a long, great career. But did you think at some point like maybe I'm not cut out for baseball. Maybe I won't make the major leagues because again you had a nice, real long career in Major League Baseball. But again, through the struggles of minor leagues, like a lot of people go through, do you have the thought that maybe this might not be for me?
No, I never had that thought because I didn't know anything else.
Right.
True.
I was limited in my choices. But I did. The reason my numbers in the minor leagues weren't that great is because I played on some really bad teams.
Right.
That had nothing to do with me.
Right. Of course. right.
No, but I think I was looking at, I had over 1,200 innings in the minor leagues.
Is that right?
Wow.
Pitching.
Wow.
I was a starter. The last year I started, I completed, I believe it was 12 out of 15 games. I was in Williamsport. We won 49 games that year. I think I won 9. It was like 4th in ERA. I think right behind Warren Brewster with Reading.
Yeah.
But we had a tough go of it. We had a shortstop that took off for the mountains and spent 3 days up in the mountains.
This is the 70s, so.
Yeah, this was 76 when I was in Williamsport.
Okay.
I signed in 71. This was 76.
So he was hanging out with Hunter Thompson up in the mountains.
Well, it was Mike Dolph. We had no back tires, Steady Eddie Arsenault.
Okay.
We had some household names. It just didn't go well. We weren't a very good team.
Well, you bounce around. Cleveland. You drafted by Cleveland. Then you go to Seattle, unfortunately to the dismay of Renee Latchman. And then you go to the Fightin' Phils, 83. What was it? What did you know about Philadelphia when you arrived in Philly? Because here you're playing 2 American League teams, and you come to Philadelphia.
I wasn't sure if they had the Liberty Bell or the Statue of Liberty. That's how much I knew about Philadelphia.
And that's what I was going to ask you. How was Portland being from way up there? And I call it the middle of nowhere.
Portland for me, I grew up in Portland. My dad was an airline pilot. We spent back and forth between Seattle and Portland living for the most part. But in Portland, I used to go to games with my aunt. She loved this one pitcher, Tom Kelly, won 17. I think he was 17-3 in AAA that year. It was a Cleveland organization. And so she would take me to a bunch of games. So my dream growing up was I wanted to play for the Portland Beavers.
Right.
After my 3rd stint with the Portland Beavers and my 3rd organization in Portland, I was like, okay, let's have another goal. Let's think about pitching in the big leagues.
You're living at home. And
right. So, Portland, my dream came true too many times.
Right.
Which is good. But when I left Seattle, I was with the Seattle Mariners. I was playing with some of the household names like Dave Edler, Paul Cerna, Dan Farova. You've heard those names, right?
Yeah. We're going to have them on our show later this summer.
Yeah. So I leave Seattle playing with a bunch of guys that nobody outside of Seattle's ever heard of, and I go to Philadelphia, and I walk into a clubhouse to 5 future Hall of Famers.
Right.
My locker in Tony Perez, Joe Morgan, Pete Rose.
Right. Asterisk. Right.
Yeah.
Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt, Steve Carlton, and my locker was next to Tug. And
my God!
How did that survive?
How did that go?
I walk in the clubhouse, and my first thought was, "What the hell am I doing here?"
right.
I'm serious. It was surreal to
you
walk
like
in and
this.
see those
you
guys.
Going like that,
I had to pinch myself.
Well, not only that, but you guys go to the World Series.
Yeah.
Right.
That was, and I knew we weren't going there with Seattle.
Right.
What time of year was that? Was that the trade deadline?
July, trade deadline, yeah. I took Porfi Altamirano's place in the bullpen.
Say that 10 times fast.
Porfi Altamirano.
Man, you're good.
All right, Larry, we got to go to break. When we come back, we will talk about a little bit about that team, and then we'll get into the 93 team when you pitched in another World Series. You're actually the only Philly to ever play in both World Series, right?
Yep.
83 and 93. All right, you'll hear all that. You listen to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA. We're live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Does that make you old?
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a very berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at penncommunitybank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Tommy Greene.
All right, we are back to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA. We are live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. I'm John Brazer, joined by my co-host Tommy Greene, our guest Larry Andersen. But before we get to Larry, Tommy.
Yeah.
So let me get your, before we get LA's take, when you're on the '93 team, right? Yeah. You've known Larry on that year.
Yeah.
Obviously,
what was the first year I played with him? Yeah.
First year you played with him. So, but you must have known of him because he'd been playing in the major leagues for many years.
Yeah. Matter of fact, he was witnessed my first major league win when I was with Atlanta in Houston, because he was in Houston back then.
Oh, you played against him.
Yeah. And I pitched in Atlanta that night, and it was my first win was my complete game shutout.
Okay.
So he won't remember it, but I remember it.
All right,
that's when I first I saw him.
But
I
now
saw
him
pitch previous 2 days.
In that '93, he comes on your team, right?
Yeah.
'93. And what was your impression of LA?
Oh my God!
As a young pitcher in the rotation.
Well, I'm a young guy. I'd been in Philly since 1990. So when I got traded over,
We're all young, Tommy.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. You were young then.
And did you know? And Tommy too. You were one of the better hitting pitchers, as was Larry Andersen.
I did a lot of studying. I got a chance to follow in Larry's footsteps a little bit. He was the veteran, and so I got to see how it was done.
Right.
He told us a lot of good things.
How to light something in the back of someone's sneakers, cleats. Right?
That was McDowell. I don't know if you ever did that. I mean, but that was one of the best all time. I mean, as far as just little pranks on somebody.
I use a super glue on the zippers.
Well, you also have your trick too, Larry, which I've seen many times, is when you're on a flight and you'll be in the bathroom and you'll come out and you'll put toilet paper tucked in your back of your pants, and it's roll like it looks like
6 feet long.
Looks like you have a 6 foot long tail, and everyone's like, the people that don't know you, they're like, sir, sir, and she pointing to you, in the back. You're like, oh.
The flight attendants probably go. There was all kind of stuff.
But LA, talk about that team right there. I mean, you actually, with all those characters you had.
Well, it started in spring training, to answer that question you asked me when I first met. Spring training, and it was like, oh my God, this is going to be hilarious. It's going to be one of the funnest, clubhouses between him and Mitch and all that down there. They were hilarious.
Well, in spring training, you're not allowed to. At that time, you could, after games, you'd have beer in the clubhouse, have a couple beers after the game.
Pops would fall on top.
Terry Mahal would drink coffee. Some guys would drink something different. Dude would have a chew in and a dip in and a cigarette and spitting into a towel. It was all different stuff. Where were we going?
Well, did you ever do any practical jokes on Dave Hollins? Because
think about that now. You see that face?
No.
Right?
No.
I didn't realize when I hit him with a pitch in San Diego when I was with the Padres, so it had to be 92.
Well, he didn't move.
And he didn't move, and I hit it, and I hollered at him. Like, don't be afraid to get out of the way.
Right.
A couple words.
Did you regret those words?
Well, when I came here in 93,
he was an elephant, too. He remembered everything.
I got to know Headley, and I was like, oh, I just thank God that he didn't hear me the year before because I wouldn't have a head left. He was intense.
I was getting ready to say, would you call him the most intense guy you've ever played with? Unbelievable.
Right. So then that season, obviously, you're the Phillies in '83, and now it's '93. You're back with the Phillies, and you can tell that everyone I talked to on that '93 team says that you could tell there's something. You guys got off to such a great start, and again, a lot of people say it started in spring training when you guys had the brawl against the Cardinals, and that's when you guys really gelled. And that was
Were you there that day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was Dave Hollins basically. And that was Dave Hollins saying, if anybody hits me, you better, to the pitchers, you guys better, or I'm coming after you.
He didn't say anything to opposing pitchers. He said it to our pitchers.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And he's like, if I get hit again and there's not retaliation, I'm coming after you.
And Tommy goes after.
Well, it was very easy. That was a very easy thing. Because he come to it. Matter of fact, he had told at the end of the previous year in '92, the guys, and I wasn't there at the time, and he had to tell me in spring training. He told me, me and Head come over the same year in '90 to Philly. He come from San Diego, I come from Atlanta. So me and him been together for a while, and he knew me. And he says, Tommy, I know I'm not going to have an issue with you, but I have to tell you because I told the other guys and about that. They said, I told them, I said, if something's not done, if this happens, that would you rather, deal with me in the clubhouse or take it and do what you need to do on the field?
That's what you call.
So that was a very easy decision.
That's what you call a rhetorical question.
Yeah. So that's the way it happened, and it worked out perfect because the guy who hit him happened to be the next batter when I come up.
Yeah, the pitcher.
And it was perfect, and that was probably the best one I've ever got. I mean, when you hit somebody that good and the ball don't glance off, it goes straight down. And stayed,
you got him good.
It stayed there, and it was right there underneath the elbow. He couldn't get out of the way. It was perfect.
I can still see the celebration. Who was the one when you guys beat the Braves? That had to have been the high point of the, obviously because you guys lost the World Series, but the high point was beating the Braves, right? Because people still were doubting you guys.
Yeah.
And then I remember when you clinched it, when Mitch clinched it, and you guys were who's the one who tripped out of the dugout? Someone was tripped.
That was
was
Wes.
that Milt?
That was Wes.
No, that was Wes.
Wes.
That was
Okay.
Chili.
I still can see that. Like, what a great moment right there when you guys, not for Wes, but a great moment.
I don't
for
know
you
how
guys.
I ran out there. I ran out. My hands were above my head. I don't know how I got my knees up that high. I was how I got out there.
That was that whole crew. Wes Chamberlain, who missed the first game or was late because he overslept.
Right.
And the players at that time were. I don't know if they just were mad or if they were at the point where they hated him.
Right.
But he turned out to be a big part of that team.
Sure.
And funny. This guy, he walked in one day, he had like polka dot shirt, striped pants, and Mitch looked at him and was like, dude, he said, and his nickname was Chili. He said, Chili, you need to go get you some Granimals so you can match your pants and your shirt.
Right.
So the next day, Chili comes into the clubhouse. He goes up. He goes, Mitchy Poo, how's this? And he had like color-coordinated pants and shirts on. And he goes, Chili, that's much better. He said, man, when you walked in here yesterday, you look like a kaleidoscope. Chili goes, kaleidoscope? Man, I ain't heard that term since my sophomore year of geometry.
Geometry.
He said some stuff.
You can't make it up.
You can't make it up.
Let's go to broadcasting real quick because, you are – well, first of all, can you tell the story when, you and LA – or you and LA, you are LA. You and Fransky have a great – I think for the generation back in the 70s, 80s, they had Richie, they had Whitey and Harry. And, you and Fransky have been together for so long. that, people, the kids that are listening to the show that don't know Harry and Whitey, you guys are the next generation and didn't miss a beat. Talk about your relationship with Fransky, and then you got to somehow fit in. We have a couple of minutes left. Fit in the when you opened up the stadium in Lehigh Valley, and you exactly weren't aware of the technical aspect of the cough button.
Still not.
Right.
But Fransky and I, we hit it off in spring training in 2006. We hung out together. We did stuff together. We go to dinner together. Have a social sparkler together, and just and then obviously he didn't have a family then at that point, but when he did, I remember at a event I was at last November, and Scott and Lori were there, and I thanked them both for allowing me to be their fourth child for the last 17 years. They've been such wonderful friends. Christy, my wife, is friends with Lori, and with Scott, with all the kids. It's just, to me, they're like part of my family.
And you guys play off each other so well, right? Scott being the great straight man. And
he's, to me, he is one of the best baseball broadcasters in the country. And I know people say, well, you work with me. Of course you're going to say that. But that's not why. I just think he just does a great job. He's always and big on the moment. And if there's some big event, Harry was so good at talking about, like after 9/11.
Yep.
Scott is the same way. He can put words together that they'll bring tears to your eyes.
Right.
I'm not kidding you. And he's just so eloquently phrased.
Yep.
And we just we're at the point now where he knows when I'm going to stop talking and he can start,
right,
and vice versa. Like right in the middle of a sentence, I might stop of a read or something, an advertisement, and he'll pick up, here's a 2-2,
And you guys just, especially when you're ripping the umpires, or you get Fransky will start laughing because he knows you're about to, when an umpire has a bad call. All right, and
I got to say one thing before we get to go. I know we're getting ready to go, but I got to say thank you, L.A.
What?
For you made a difference in my life as a young player. You showed me how to play the game and play the game right, and be a model. You played the game right, but you also taught me how to have fun at it, on and off the field. So I wanted to say thank you. You made a big difference in my life, and you've always been so good and true to me. I mean,
thank you.
I want to tell you that. It means so much. I had to make sure you know that.
Thank you.
Well, we can't end it on a heartwarming story like that. So
you can.
I'm kidding. In 20 seconds, Larry, I know that I'm just.
We open up Lehigh
Valley.
We go there. They got the radio booth set up, and I'm known for my burping, and so.
You want to call it that?
We got the box up there, and it's got the volume controls. So I reach up, and I feel like I got a burp, so I turn down the volume in my headset.
Right, in your headset.
In my headset. Right. And I let out a big old belch.
That everyone in the Delaware Valley
y'all
heard.
have no idea. This guy's the best.
Yeah,
everybody heard it.
For a good 10 seconds.
The only one that didn't hear it was me.
Exactly.
I didn't realize it was my mic I was turning down. It was my headset.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up this week's Bull Session presented by BCWSA. I'd like to thank my co-host Tommy Greene, our guest today, Larry Andersen, back to the studio, Gus Barber, our on-site engineer, Chris Ermer. Thanks also to Pete and the great staff here at Cheeky's and Pete's of South Philadelphia for hosting us today. We're going to be back next Monday at 6 p.m. at Cheeky's and Pete's in Audubon, PA. We're going to have former Phillies pitching great Art Mahaffey. And Tom, you're taking a break as Mickey Morandini will be my co-host. Until then, have a great week. And as late, great Harry the K says,
we're out of here.
Thanks, bro.